Hey there, everyone. So I just want to give some context of the video that's coming up. CincosSymposium and I, over on Twitch, had a debate about guns and the use of fines as a means to regulate gun violence. But he and I were talking for about a half hour before this, but it turns out that I was really, really bad on my setup. I had some hotkeys set, so there was a large portion of time where he was muted, and then I accidentally hit a button and it switched over to my ending stream screen. And since I can't get the video from his end, unfortunately, all I have is mine. That being said, there was a point about, like I said, a half hour or so in, where he introduced a third person into the conversation, and that's about the point where we're going to pick up in the conversation. So, yeah. Hopefully you guys get to enjoy that.
Oh, wait, hold on. My buddy actually wants to join in, and he's more of a gun guru than I am. But I'm gonna bring him in.
Hey there, buddy. How you doing?
Hold up, let me turn it down. Hold on. I have to turn off the Twitch feed because it's fucking with me. Okay. There we go.
Well,
how you doing, Mikey?
How long have you been listening?
I just hopped on like 3 or 4 minutes ago.
Okay,
so
I want you to give him your rundown of restorative justice and explain that to him.
All right. So what I was talking about with restorative justice is a way to recuperate cost, a way to better guarantee the recuperation of cost caused by a crime, right? So, for instance, if someone were to come into your house and, I don't know, steal your boombox or whatever, there should be at least a way for you to recuperate at least part of that cost. What I was proposing then is using fines either to retailers or to gun manufacturers for a way to enact restorative justice in the case of a murder or even just a mass shooting or something, some sort of violent crime, getting at least some level of restorative justice.
Okay. I mean, I get what you're saying. I get the logic behind that. First thing I would ask is, how do you even quantify how much money a life is worth?
I think that you would have to go through like, what are local funeral costs? What are the costs for relative damages, such as damage to property nearby, right? And this, by the way, I would like to see this sort of thing applied in fines to all sorts of stuff. But
do you know of anything currently that has anything like that?
I mean, the closest I can come to is probably littering, but no, I'm not 100% on if there are currently monetary restorative justice laws, but most people don't equate value with money.
Gotcha. Okay. If there is any restorative justice laws, are they applied to businesses or privately owned institutions, or are they applied to people?
I'm not 100% sure. Again, I'm not really clear if there are currently restorative justice laws. I sort of just pitch it as a concept thing. This was a thing I heard talked about a little bit by libertarians.
Really?
Yeah.
That blows me away.
Are you kidding me? No. Hold on. Libertarians are all about the money. Libertarians are okay. I'm talking like the more economic side libertarian, like
Well, you're kind of talking to a libertarian, so that's why it kind of blows me away. Yeah, you're like a gun. The idea of anybody, or any government entity for that matter, forcing a business to pay for the mistakes of an individual, just that screams tyranny and that screams government control.
That screams authoritarian.
Really? Yeah. And like I said initially with what you said, that makes sense. I just don't think it's fair, and I don't think it's moral. From my political.
I don't think it's fair at all.
I'm interested in this because you said it makes sense, but it's not fair. So,
Well, I mean, things can make sense,
No,
right? Things can be
I'm
logical and methodical, but they're not right to do.
absolutely,
Like it's
absolutely.
logical and methodical to
wipe
kill
out
the
all homeless people,
the weak
because it
person
would,
in your group
yeah.
when you're in a survival situation. That's logical to do that, but is it moral to do that?
Right.
No.
Like I said, it's technically logical, yeah. But so the thing is, the value is what we're looking at here, right? So would you agree that humans, okay, I just want to make a base level here. Humans have value, correct?
Of course.
Okay. You said you're a libertarian. I don't know if you're talking like economics libertarian or guns and drugs libertarian, because those are
I'll tell you, I'll be from my own self-evaluation, I fall somewhere in between a conservative and a libertarian. If that
somewhere
makes
the
any
guns
sense
and drugs
whatsoever.
side. Okay.
Sort of, yeah.
So
And economics, I guess.
Can a company produce value?
Yes.
Okay. So is it fair? Is it accurate to say that it's more probable that a company can produce a larger amount of value?
A conglomeration of people focusing on one single product or service to mass produce that product or service? Sure. Yes.
Okay. So if we're following that line, then let's say, you get shot, your dog gets shot, something like that. Do you think it would be more wise to try to recuperate the cost of that from the individual who did the harm, or from associated entities who created tools specifically designed to do that harm?
Oh, well, I mean, you would definitely get more money from the business. That's just obvious. You're not going to get as much money
Right.
from the individual.
Right.
Is that
And
answer your question?
you're more likely to recover the lost cost.
Yeah. So you are more likely to recover the lost cost.
We're not going to
I
talk.
don't get what your
We're not
point
going to
is.
talk morally, because morals are a really dumb fabrication.
Why aren't we going to talk morally? Why is that not important?
Well, because morals
Isn't that what we base all of our policies and our laws on?
No. Can I feed myself on morality?
No.
Can I pay for a funeral for my dog on morality?
No.
You pay for a funeral for a dog?
Some people do. I know one guy who had his dog frozen in a cryonics lab. He was very weird. But can I pay for the funeral for my child or my wife in moralities?
No.
So then what really does matter is...
So it's all about money then?
No, it's pragmatism. I mean, if I can get somebody to bury my wife, dog, child for free, then probably, the punitive measures can be allowed to be cheaper, thus having a knock-on effect on further industries by driving costs down in related industries.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's all about money. Okay, so
No,
it's
about
money
practical
or pragmatism.
outcomes. It's about outcomes. What do you think is more likely to get some sort of recovery for the harmed person?
So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that you're not going to get much more money out of a business, but that still goes against the morals of my political views, and that is forcing a third party that really didn't have anything to do with the murder.
They definitely did.
Now you're going to turn around and say that yes, they produced the tools that allowed for it to happen.
No.
But they didn't sanction the murder.
That is a different argument. It's not they produced the tools that did the thing, because like he was saying earlier, you could do the same thing with a hammer. I could do the same thing with this fork. But what's the tool use? They designed it with the intent.
Okay.
They didn't design it with. If you're going to say that gun manufacturers designed their pistol with the intent for a person to go up to an innocent person and murder them, then I would say
are you hunting with a pistol?
You're incredibly.
So I came into this conversation pretty late. So what is your overall stance on the Second Amendment and firearms in general?
I don't have a very strong stance on it. I think that weapons should be regulated. I think that we should regulate it for minimizing harm. So, like, he was pointing out that pistols kill significantly more than it looks like most other firearms combined. So the regulation on things like pistols would probably be a wise idea.
So let me ask you this. Would you be in favor of... do you believe in... let me ask you this. Do you believe that we have a serious problem with police brutality in America?
I'm not 100% sure how bad it is. I know that, like, any killing by police should probably carry some sort of punishment, both for that police officer and the department in general. Just you want to de-incentivize the whole, like, bad apple thing. You want to incentivize other police acting against. Do you think
police in positions of authority can do evil things? And do you think that they do evil things?
Absolutely.
Okay. So would you be in favor of banning all guns outright for everyone?
Absolutely
unless
not.
They
that
go
is
through
awful.
Okay.
Why would you ban guns for everyone?
I'm covering my bases. I'm crossing my T's, dotting my I's. I want to know what I'm dealing with here. So you're for regulation of certain firearms. What firearms and what types of firearms are you thinking? Right
now, it looks like handguns are a good candidate. I'm not so sure about what people tend to class as assault rifles. I think that you were saying it's the full auto and semi-auto, whatever, right? That's what people tend to class as assault rifles.
Well, I mean, from what I see, any rifle that holds more than 20 rounds or 10 or 20 rounds and has a pistol grip and can shoot in a semi-automatic fashion, that's one round for every pull of the trigger. That is typically what people on the left side of the aisle go for as an assault rifle or an assault weapon.
Hold on, assault rifle's been used for a while now, hasn't it?
Yes.
I remember assault rifles being in, like, the first Call of Duty, so we can say that it's not just a creation of the left.
I'm saying it is though, because they can't accurately just describe what an assault weapon is.
Oh, that's excellent. Hold on. No. Because you can clear this up right now. What's an assault rifle?
Any weapon that can kill somebody.
Any weapon that can kill somebody. So that's what.
Well, what's the definition? What's the definition of assault?
Assault knife.
No. What's the definition of a pistol? What's the definition of a hunting rifle? What's the definition of a knife? Come on now.
Okay, so the definition of assault
there's a classification
is
of assault
somebody.
Weapon, correct? There's a classification for assault rifle that is commonly used, right?
Okay, well, would you say that a Flintlock musket is an assault rifle?
I have no idea. I'm not the one who defines these things.
What I'm saying is that was used widely by the military in the 1780s. So, like, that was the weapon of war.
Was it defined? Hold on, was it defined as an assault rifle at the time?
I mean, there wasn't a rifle that existed back then. The only rifle, I mean, I guess rifles existed, but they were like,
was it considered an assault rifle?
They were artisans. What's that?
At least here's one definition of it. An assault rifle is a selective fire rifle that uses an intermediate cartridge and a detachable magazine. Assault rifles were first put into mass production, accepted widespread service during World War II. The first example they give one is the German STG-44.
Okay, so we can use that, right? This is a common parlance, like pretty good definition for what an assault rifle is. If we're gonna restrict a classification of weapon, we should have a common understanding of what it is. And would you say that that's a good classification?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think, but I still
rifle.
think it's a broad term. I think anything can be associated with assault rifle. Honest, anything that's a rifle that can kill somebody can be an assault rifle.
No. You just made up this stupid lefty definition of shit. Come on now. We're trying to use actual definitions here.
But that's there really isn't.
All right. Well, hey,
like no one.
Hey man, I'm just trying to have a discussion. I'm not trying to.
You asked for a definition.
I said people on the left side of the aisle. I didn't say crazy lefty.
So what? Who cares what the left side of the aisle or whatever? I mean, I'm pretty sure every time legislation has been proposed, it has been specific, right? Or have they just written legislation that's like, no assault rifle, and then not you, but not the assault rifle that's common parlance?
But when you say assault rifle, like you're saying definitions are important, but yet you didn't even know the definition of assault rifle.
I absolutely didn't, because I'm not the one who defines these things. I am not the one who defines these things. What do you mean no one on the left? There are military personnel who are on the left.
And
believe me, I know that.
Yeah, we both are very aware of that. But the point is, whenever they argue assault rifle, they can't narrow it down to what they mean either.
Who is they?
Almost every single lefty person I've ever talked to.
So online lefties?
You included. You had no definition.
No, yeah, that's because I'm not the one who's here to define it. I went and used your definition. We did eventually get to a definition. I think your definition's a pretty good one.
It's not my definition, it's just what's on the internet.
Oh, so it's the common parlance definition? Man, we should use that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh?
I'm saying assault rifle is something. Usually, when you say, "What does AR-15 mean?" and that's when they usually say assault rifle. That's
so
where
what? You're talking to a bunch of idiots. You're talking to a bunch of idiots about it.
And they don't know what it is. And when you say assault rifle, it's a very broad and generic term, and really doesn't speak specific.
You just gave a specific definition, didn't you? A very specific definition. I assume. I don't know much about many of the words you said. I mean, I'm looking at any various intermediate magazine-fed rifles, such as the AK-47, that can be set for automatic or semi-automatic fire. That's an okay.
That pretty much covers almost every single rifle, besides any of the different mechanisms,
except for like hunting rifles and so.
Action.
Except for like
and
standard
yet again,
hunting.
What you're saying is an assault rifle. There are many hunting rifles in that broad definition of assault rifle.
That's actually really cool. Yeah. So
that's what I'm saying. It's a blanket coverage term that really doesn't function well.
Okay, so we should make legislation that's very, very specific on specific things.
Like just the fact that there's legislation on the fact that you have to have, between fully automatic firearms and semi-automatic firearms.
Oh, that's really good. We should use those classifications like we do in the real world.
I don't understand where you're getting confused with that one.
But those are the classifications we use. We use semi-automatic and fully automatic and whatever, right? Like
those are two different classifications.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes, they are. Yes. So, and in legislation, those are what's used.
I'm sorry. What's your name or what's your alias?
I'm on Twitch as Mr. Nobodies. I do a lot of video game streaming. I mostly play RimWorld, trying to get people to play alongside.
So I'll just call you Mr. Nobodies. I want to have a name to the person I'm talking to. Have you ever shot a gun or you owned a gun before?
No, I actually have a really bad. I have a lot of really bad experiences that lead to. Okay. The closest I got to firing a firearm, I had a mental episode where I was like seeing myself shooting other people, and it It was an awful moment. You might notice I talk kind of weird. My diction is a bit strange. It's because of sorry, that was burping. A mild mental it's not.
I will follow that. I will follow that burp soon. I'm drinking beer right now.
Yeah, but it's because I have I'm schizoaffective. I've got it mostly under control, but like it's not fantastic for me to be around firearms. I always worry about myself being dangerous with them.
Okay, so you said that when you came to a point where you were actually about to use a firearm. I don't know if you were were you hunting? Were you at
no,
a range?
it was a range.
Okay, were you with like a friend, or were you with a family member, or how did that go?
I was with a friend.
Interesting. Well, how long ago was this?
This was years ago. This was, Jesus, I was a young adult at the time. I would have been like 20 something. So that would have been like a decade ago. Like and mind you, a lot of my takes on firearms and so on aren't purely from me. I had, like I said to Symposium, Cincos. I have friends who were in the military. I tend to defer to. I have friends who were in the military, and I tend to defer to them, which is why I'm not one of these fucking asshole lefties who are like, no, we need to take everybody's guns away. I'm just like, we should do harm reduction measures.
Gotcha.
I'm like I guess I'm sort of liberal on it, right?
Yeah. So what's your political views like around the, like did you vote for Biden, for example? Like, did you vote for Biden this year?
I honestly don't remember. I mostly vote on local issues, and I encourage everybody to go out and vote on local fucking issues. It's more important than your goddamn president that you know where the money in your city is being spent. You dumb shits. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I get very aggressive.
I don't think anybody's disagreeing with you.
No.
I think COVID has shown.
My two biggest political. My two biggest political focuses are abortion, or three, I should say: abortion, guns, and taxes. So when I'm talking about what I want my local government spending money on, I'm definitely concerned about that.
Yeah.
But to go back to the point, so you don't think there should be any widespread confiscations of firearms? You think that there should just be reasonable quote unquote reasonable measures taken? And you think one of the measures that we need to take is we need to fine businesses that manufacture firearms that are involved in murders.
I would be fine with it being retailers, or mass shootings. I'm fine either way, but I would be fine shifting it to retailers because they do have a more sort of direct effect on who purchases a weapon. Though that would also threaten small businesses. So like, I'm back and forth on that one.
Well, see, I think that's and I know this is a very popular cliche thing to say, but I feel like that's a slippery slope.
Is it?
Yeah, because I think that if you start fining, for example, Ruger, right? Let's just say a guy has a Ruger AR and he goes and kills 10 people with it, and now you fine Ruger, $10 million for damages for each of the $1 million for each of the person to cover the funeral costs and life insurance issues that go with that to basically make sure those families are taken care of. I think what you'll end up doing is you'll end up having people run people over with vans. You'll have people. I mean, you had this. This is why we have fucking covers on our orange juices and our milks, because people literally poisoned these things, and it caused people to get sick, and some people die.
That's why we have covers on them?
That's one of the
I
reasons.
was about to
That's
say,
like,
isn't that more about disease prevention and so on?
well, no, it's they like actually people were
You
actually
put a lid on
poisoning
milk because
milk bottles.
you put lid on
No,
milk.
I'm not talking about the lid. I'm not talking about the lid itself. I'm talking about like that metal cover that you have to fucking peel off of it.
Wait, metal
in
cover
order
for your milk?
in order
Where's this?
like okay, the you know the aluminum peel that you have to.
Like
Oh,
when
you
it's
mean on,
vacuum
like-
sealed, like
Yeah.
Wait, I thought that was part of the vacuum sealing process, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, basically,
just don't-
as far as I'm aware, I could be wrong.
it didn't
But as far as
particularly
I'm
matter.
aware, that started happening because people were literally poisoning. Bad actors in the companies and in the factories were poisoning the products, so they actually had to start taking
Who I
extra
voted
measures
for
to
as
seal them
president
up.
doesn't matter.
But anyway, I mean, I could be wrong on that. It's just what I heard. But what I'm saying is, I think if we start suing manufacturers or finding manufacturers,
They'll find more safety measures. That's pretty good, right?
You're going to open up incentives for people.
well, I
to
think
probably try
you're
to
gonna.
take
I think
advantage of that.
more and more businesses are gonna start being sued. That aren't necessarily gun manufacturers,
Well,
like car
wait,
manufacturers.
Your example
or
though was them.
Louisville baseball bats, and
your
are we gonna
example
Are we
was-
gonna sue Louisville baseball bats for
Your
someone?
example was they found a way to prevent harm. Like
Well, you're not going to prevent harm. You're not going to prevent someone from going and shooting 10 people,
You're
even if you
not?
have, even
Hold
if your
on.
company, even if your company's going to get sued.
Do you think that
Well,
there
that-
would
that's a
be
good
less?
question.
There wouldn't be as many shootings if there were more guns.
What you're saying is you want less guns out there. You want the manufacturer to make less guns because
Um,
I don't. What do you expect the manufacturers to do? What do you think a gun manufacturing company
Oh,
is
I
going
think
to
that what
do
would
to prevent someone from going and killing someone else with their product? What
secondary
what do you
safety
think they could do?
systems.
What kind of safety systems?
Would a murderer not be able to figure that out? If
Well, hold on. What kind of safety systems could you have?
Don't they already have a primary safety system on them? So this sort of thing where the gun literally.
Are
locks.
you talking about like a literal mechanical safety system?
That
Like
would
a
be a
safety
fine one.
Okay, hold on.
And
This is weird. Okay, so hold on. Wait. No, this is weird. So you're saying that gun manufacturers should put more safety on their firearms to prevent people from
That's a
murdering,
fun one. Isn't
having the ability to murder. First of all, most firearms, I think there's only a right now in the manufacturing line, there's only
it?
a
He's now
couple that
arguing
don't have
against more
safety.
safety. This is fun.
Every firearm has a safety feature or multiple safety features in most cases. But is a safety switch going to prevent someone from murdering somebody if they want to?
It can at least slow them down, right?
not really.
No.
No, you don't think like a secondary safety system, a lock on a
And
gun,
what's
something
hold on, wait,
where
what's
the
so what's the
magazine
primary?
ejects.
So what's the primary? Hold on. So what's the primary purpose of the gun? So if let's just say I buy a let's say I buy a Glock to for self defense, right? Do you believe in that? Do you believe that people should be able to buy firearms for self defense if they're licensed?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so my firearms purpose is to basically draw and be able to pull I should be able to pull the trigger immediately to neutralize a threat. If I have excessive safety features, like for example, the California law that makes it to where you can't, in order to reload the AR-15, you have to literally take the whole fucking thing apart. Which I guess that prevents me from reloading, but I still have 10 rounds. But that's besides the point. I don't think adding an extra safety switch, one, is going to prevent somebody from being murdered, and two, that's going to debilitate my ability to defend myself. I'm no longer going to buy that firearm to defend myself because now I have to press 17 safety switches to fucking pull the trigger if I'm in danger.
That firearms are more often deployed for self-defense or for harming others?
Absolutely self-defense.
Do you think they're more
Yeah.
often? More often?
The FBI has
Way more often, yeah.
How many
500,000 to
self-defenses?
3 million people are saved because of people who use weapons to deter.
This is actually a really interesting
things
one
from
because
happening.
Okay, so you're saying that there are more instances of self-defense with a firearm than there are people being assaulted with a firearm or held up at gunpoint.
Yes, and I can promise you that if more people had guns, there would be less bad actors or people. Bad people with guns would be less inclined to use them. That's why you have less in states like Arkansas and states like Texas, you have less muggings, you have less robberies, armed robberies, aggravated assaults, stuff like that. You have less of that.
Just addressing something in chat real quick. I'm not saying the people who own guns for defense. I mean the numbers of times that they're deployed for self-defense. I don't know if those ever get reported though, so I don't know if I would.
Hold on, I gotta add something to the chat. There we go. Texas. That's how you pronounce it, everybody.
It's a Texas says Tim Ford.
Texas. Texas. There we go. Not y-axis. Texas. But yeah, I think so. So what else? What else do you think the businesses could do? We went over added safety features, and then now what else do you think the businesses could be made to do?
One of the fun things about fines is they also push innovation, right? So there are answers that I do not yet have that would come up in response. Now, one of the negative pressures from this would likely be that there would be a racialized outcome, just because statistically, of course, black neighborhoods tend to have more crime and so on. So
yeah, and you know what you're gonna do when you start fining gun manufacturers for the deaths of people? You know what you're gonna do? You're gonna prevent black people and Hispanic people who live in low-income neighborhoods to buy firearms to defend themselves from gang members. You reminded me. That's a good point.
Yeah, no, it's one of the really good points against what I'm saying is that there would be a racialized disparity because of poverty and so on. But I think that the cost in human life would likely decrease to such a degree that.
See, I think the cost in human life will ultimately. I think the amount of human life that suffers from this will increase if we do something like you're suggesting. If we start fining gun manufacturers, because what that's going to do is that's inevitably going to bring up a whole bunch of lawsuits. It's going to bring up a whole bunch of cases because people are literally murdered every day, right. And it involves firearms. Now, there's people who are involved. Hold on, there's people who are involved in self-defense situations with firearms. Who the families of those people who were killed from the other people who are using their firearm in self-defense, they probably want to sue the gun manufacturer. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to basically bog down these companies with lawsuits. And they're going to have to either not sell as much of their product, or they're going to have to drastically increase the price of their product, of their firearms. And what that's going to do is that's going to prevent people from actually buying firearms for self-defense. I mean, you look at the actual gun industry that in the past year, it's gone up. And you know how many people... You know the percentage of people buying firearms this year in 2020 were first-time gun buyers, and probably more than likely Democrats.
Oh yeah, because
45%. 45%.
So that's always an occurrence with national panic, like is happening with the protests and riots.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, do you think those people, all those people who are panicking, all those people who are worried that they might not be able to call the police if their house gets broken into or if their business gets vandalized, those people are going to be less capable of buying a firearm, or they're going to have to spend exorbitant amounts of money more to buy a firearm. Because,
yes, every individual would have to pay more. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm saying is I think that'll end up causing more people to be subject to violent crime from people who have guns, who get guns illegally, or get guns by private sale. I mean, in Texas, you can privately sell your firearm to anybody you want. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't think it's against the Constitution, so I don't have a problem with it. That's my libertarian brain going. But I'm just saying, like, a Mexican cartel member can walk into a gun show and find someone who has a backpack on with an AR-15 sticking out of it, saying, "I'm selling this AR-15 for $1,000," and he can buy it off of him. And that person
that's definitely a thing that should be like, we should do stuff to better track that and potentially fine or imprison people selling through that.
Well, see, and I don't think so. No? I disagree.
You think there should be a black market on guns?
No, I think there should be private sale. I think people should be able to privately sell their property. I don't think the government needs to be involved with a private transaction between individuals.
But this is hold on. But doesn't that only help gang members and cartels and so on?
Yeah, it can.
I mean, like that's
the price we pay for individual liberty and freedom.
Really?
So
I think it's acceptable.
I have a stat.
You think it's acceptable?
Yeah, it's a pretty drastic position, but I believe that. Yep.
So here's a stat from the U.S. Department of Justice from a period of
I've used a bill of sale before, DZ drunk.
2007 to 2011. They confirmed a total of 300.
And you don't, DZ, you don't have to have a bill of sale in the state of Texas. They recommend you do, but you don't have to.
338,000 defensive gun uses in both violent attacks and property crimes where a victim was involved. That equals on average of 67,000 defensive gun use every year.
That's pretty tough.
At least in the state of Texas, DZ drunk.
And I mean, that's confirmed cases. So
yeah, that's really good. That's actually that's a pretty good argument in your favor.
So let me ask you this. I want to get back to your experience with firearms. Do you think you would ever be willing to buy a firearm and like, for example, let's say what state do you live in? I won't get into specifics. What state do you live in?
Well, like I said, I play video games for recreation, so like firearms for recreation doesn't sound great. And
yeah, I get you. But what do you live in, like a suburban area or an urban area or anything like that? I won't ask specifically.
I live in Baltimore City.
I won't ask specifically where you. Okay, you live in Baltimore City. Okay, so that's a pretty high crime area
near there. Yeah, I work in.
But that's a pretty high crime area.
Yeah.
So what happens when let's say a black man is murdered or is killed, I should say, by a police officer in Baltimore City, and the mayor of Baltimore gives the police an order to stand down, and
they are.
The city council defunds the police, and now you basically have police officers either unwilling or unable to do their job, and muggings spike by like 500% in Baltimore because of this. Would you be more inclined or less inclined to get a firearm to defend yourself, or would you just be like, you know what? If it happens to me, I'll just give him my wallet and I'll just be on my merry way and hopefully he won't kill me. Are you in that? Are you?
Oh, I've literally done that one before, but I think there would be a much bigger problem at that point, right? Like,
yeah.
Everything, all of society is breaking down around you.
Yeah.
Like your question is, if there was total anarchy, would I buy a gun? Probably. I think it's fair to say, if there was no law or government in the U.S., I'd be more likely to own a gun. Yes.
Well, it's not necessarily no law nor government in the U.S.
Well,
I mean, it could go that way, but it's no law or no government and no order in certain hot spots.
It's the chaos.
We've actually literally seen that in 2020. Yeah. We've seen that happen in Seattle. We've seen it happen in New York. I mean, Chicago's murder rate like spiked. There's like literally dozens of murders every weekend in Chicago because the police can't fucking do their job. So
right.
What I'm saying is, it's not like we live in a society that's completely anarchic. We live in a society where certain areas of our country are extremely irresponsible with how they manage those cities, and they end up defunding the police and basically castrating, in a sense, the police, and it basically leads law-abiding citizens screwed, just like you. Law-abiding citizens, just like I assume you are, who just want to go do their job, who just want to go do their job, make money, and go home, and. Well, I guess what I'm trying to get at is if it gets to that situation where you literally are relying on yourself for defense.
Well, I mean,
would you be inclined to buy a firearm at that point, or would you be too averse of your own? Would you be too worried about how you feel mentally with a firearm?
I'm not 100% sure because I've never really felt my life being so threatened. I've never felt so afraid of the world around me that I felt the need to own a firearm.
But you feel afraid enough to where you feel like businesses should be basically fined because enough people are getting killed.
No, yes, because
you're afraid enough on that level.
They are directly contributing to the harm of another person.
So are people directly involving themselves by buying guns and supporting the gun manufacturing company that in turn makes more guns and then is directly involved with the rest of the killings?
No, because you just created a level of separation there, right, bro? Like, you just said, like, oh, if there's step after step after step, are they? No.
There's a step in between the murderer and the gun manufacturers, or not?
But what is the intention of the gun manufacturer? The intention is to create a device which kills.
Yeah, but what use would a self-defense device be if it wasn't lethal? I mean, that's the whole point, isn't it?
It would be pretty ineffective.
I don't know. Like tasers and pepper spray are pretty good, right?
Okay, well then if people want a non-lethal answer for self-defense, they should get pepper spray. Why doesn't everybody buy pepper spray then? Why doesn't a lot of people buy pepper spray?
Why does anybody own a gun?
Because, and I'll tell you why. It's because there are plenty of videos and there's plenty of police accounts and evidence that pepper spray doesn't necessarily work.
Oh, absolutely.
Pepper spray will not neutralize a threat. A 115 grain 9mm hollow point going about 1,200 feet per second into the cranium, that will stop somebody. That'll stop a 400-pound juggernaut from attacking you, especially. And then now I'm going to get into the realm of women. Women are petite. They're generally weaker than males. And for hundreds,
oh my God,
for hundreds of thousands of years, women have fallen prey to larger and stronger men with murder, rape. So now in the amazing 21st century, after the Industrial Revolution, we have this wonderful technology that basically puts a large amount of power in the hands of a small petite woman, and she can now defend herself against a large male who wants to harm her. And now what you're saying with what will inevitably come from these large fines on these gun manufacturers is this woman has to pay more money if she can even buy it at all. I mean, you're talking. You're also
get discounts on guns. We should give women discounts on guns.
Well, no,
I'm on side with this.
I wouldn't.
I like your proposal here.
I wouldn't be in favor. I wouldn't be in favor of that because that would be inequality. That would be inequity.
Wait, but no, it's a difference in outcomes, right? It's not inequality based on like some arbitrary metric. It's based on actual outcomes in science and so on.
No. I don't want people to be treated differently because of their gender of their race.
That's not it. You were just saying women are more prone to be harmed by violent crimes.
But I'm saying
you're making it proportional to the results.
That's not
you're making it proportional to the results. Why do results not matter to you?
No, hey, just to be clear, most violent assaults happen to men, not women.
Wait,
yeah,
hold on. What was your previous point? What was your previous point?
The previous point that women are not able to defend themselves in hand-to-hand combat with a male on average.
Wow. So you're saying that maybe
on average they're going to get their
so giving women discounts to guns would make it less likely that was true, correct? So as an outcome, we would have less violence against women. Like, this is a really good point you guys are making here.
Are women incompetent enough where they can't afford the regular price?
Hold on, wait.
No. They don't need an extra help from men. They don't need extra help from men. They don't need extra help from men. They don't need extra help from men. They need extra help from society. Extra help from society. Society exists out there.
Cincos. Let him finish.
You were saying that women are more proportionally harmed, right? Women are more proportionally harmed in this way. So if we do give them better access to guns, if we give them better access to guns through discounts, so they'll be able to afford more guns, more ammo, and so on, right?
Yep.
So then giving a female-only discount on guns would definitely help.
Okay, so you know what? I think that's a fantastic idea, and I think that's a great marketing strategy for one of these. Like for example, let's just say Ruger. I like to pick on Ruger. So let's say Ruger came out and said 15% discount on firearms. Fuck it, no, 35% discount on female buyers. Are you still, if I concede that that's a good idea and that more women should be armed to defend themselves against larger and stronger and more capable attackers, would you concede that maybe fining firearm manufacturers will debilitate the ability of people to buying firearms, and that it's not a good idea to do that?
No, I think
so now
it's
what
still,
you're doing,
I
now what
think
you're
it's-
doing is you're saying, okay, firearms manufacturer is now responsible for every single murder and every single mass shooting, and
with their guns,
we
yes.
have to give women a 35% discount. So now you're saying you have to pay for every single mishap with this firearm, and you have to give women a 35% discount. So what you're doing is you're basically going to skyrocket the price of firearms. Yes. You're going to skyrocket the price of firearms.
And then lower it
Is that
for
your
women.
goal? Is that what you want to happen? You want firearms to just be so expensive that people can't buy them? Is that what you want?
I want them to be expensive enough that the amount of deaths go down over time. I think that'd be pretty dope.
So this is interesting. Back in the 1600s in England, there was this law called the game law. I think
was a
that's
really
what it's
stupid
called.
argument.
And they basically made it to where, in order to hunt, you had to be. Initially, you could just be like a wealthy upper class, upper middle class citizen, and you could hunt. What they did was as soon as the Civil War broke out and the government and monarchy started being afraid of the citizens to own firearms, whereas before, mind you, everyone owned a firearm. It was actually the law to own a firearm and train with a firearm.
What I was saying.
They actually brought in this game law and made it basically to where you had to be the top 1% of the top 1% to be able to hunt. So what you're suggesting is similar to the powder-wigged, puffy, neck-wearing fucking monarchs of England in this late 1600s that basically bogged down on the average citizen of England, and that's honestly disgusting, and it's tyrannical, and it's gross in my mind. I think it's absolutely disgusting. It should be completely opposed on every level.
So you're saying that finding people who make a machine specifically for killing, when those machines are deployed to kill humans, finding them for that is the same
in
as
self-defense.
saying no, we're not talking about self-defense here. We can even make it specifically murder.
That's not the.
We can make it specifically murder.
Listen, that's not the manufacturer's. The manufacturer did not sanction a murder. You can legislate
for very specific occurrences.
The manufacturer did not sanction murder.
No. They sanctioned killing.
They sanctioned killing
right.
in self-defense.
Did they? Hold on. Okay. I don't think that.
Do you hold on, wait. Do you really think Ruger and Smith & Wesson and Bravo Company Manufacturing are actually coming out and saying, "Hey, here are these AR-15s. You should go kill people with them." Do you think they're really saying that?
I mean, you literally just said that they do. You said in self-defense.
Yeah, so in self-defense, and I'm sure every single manufacturer would be like, I'm sure every single manufacturer will be like, hey, if you need this weapon in self-defense, you should be you ought to use it in self-defense.
We don't necessarily agree that killing in self-defense is a good thing. I don't believe in permanent punishments for limited crimes. There are some instances, I think, where killing a person can be justified, but it's never good.
It's better than the alternative of you being dead.
Oh, absolutely.
And your family.
Absolutely.
And honestly, like, do you believe that people should be limited? Do you think it should be some disembodied government's choice on whether or not someone can defend themselves from their lives being lost? I don't think so. I think that's up to the individual.
No, but if a person wants to defend themselves, they'll find some way to defend themselves, right? But anyway,
yeah, but what if they're being attacked with firearms?
That was a really stupid joke. I'm sorry about that.
What joke?
Where I was like, if a person wants to defend themselves, they'll find a way. That was a really dumb joke.
Yeah, I thought you were trying to make a point there. It didn't make sense.
No,
'Cause I was going to say, like, what if someone had an AR-15 and they were attacking somebody? Do you think the other person being attacked ought to be equally equipped to defend themselves? I think so.
I think that's fair.
Do you think that's? I don't know if that's really realistic, but I guess.
Absolutely, it's
Wait,
realistic.
Hold on.
realistic?
Everyone and their mother has an AR-15.
Everybody has an AR-15?
There are over 15 million AR-15s, and that's just an estimate.
Wait,
There are over 15 million.
Where?
Yes, in the United States.
Really?
15
That's
million.
Man, how much of the population is that? Is that 0.5%?
So there's about 330 million people in the United States.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like,
That's a considerable amount.
yeah. 0.5%, huge amount.
That's not 0.5%.
Wait, no, you said 15. You said 15.
15
Sorry.
million.
Sorry.
There's 330
Then you
million
gotta-
people in the United States.
Then you got to look at the fact that anyone that's 18
Yeah,
and under
it's close to
can't
4,
legally own it.
So
What's that?
everyone.
I was cutting down the population of people that could actually carry it because you're looking at anyone that's 18 and under would be cut out of that.
Because
number that
I
could have.
myself may or may not own 3
Nice.
AR-15 style rifles. So like
Look at
I'm just
you
saying
took
that
away
like
from the rest of the population. No, sorry.
There you
Another
go, yeah, so-
another really dumb joke. Sorry.
yeah, that's okay.
Well, so hold on. I'd like to get back to the point of what do you think? You said safeties, but I think like what else? What do you think that a gun manufacturer could do?
Real quick, everybody. I have to make an announcement. Real quick. This has nothing to do with the gun debate. Cyberpunk is available to play right now for me.
Oh, you son of a bitch! Are you kidding?
I can turn on Cyberpunk.
I thought it was
no,
at
no,
10.
no, no, no. It's at It's at midnight. Fuck. I still have another hour. Okay,
wait, I thought it
continue
was
the debate.
10th.
Sorry.
Okay. Oh, it is the 9th. Look at that. Okay. So what do I think? What do I think they should do? Now, again, I'm going to lean into something that's a little less concrete because I believe in capitalism breeding innovation, and one of the ways capitalism has done that in the past is by using fines to deter certain behaviors, such as there have been in the past trying to deter pollutants.
Do you think it's hold on, let me give you an example of a fine being meant to deter. So do you think the government has the right to create a tax on cigarettes in order to prevent people from smoking?
Oh yeah, that's really good. That's
okay. So what about do you have the right to eat and drink whatever you want?
Hold on, real quick. Alpha fines are totally capitalism, my dude. It's
No, hold on, wait, no, they aren't. So let me ask you this: Do you Mr. Nobody, right? That's your name, Mr. Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody's.
Nobody's, Mr.
Yeah.
Nobody's. Do you have the right to eat? Do you have the right as an American to eat and drink whatever you want, so long as it makes you happy and so long as it's available on the market?
As long as it's not harming other people in some way. Like for instance, you can't eat human.
So does
even if human was on the market, you couldn't.
Barring human and bald eagle, right? So you have the right to eat whatever you want.
Wait, you can't eat bald eagle?
So what happens?
No,
I don't think so.
You can't kill a bald eagle.
I think you should.
Are they endangered?
I'm a borderline anarchist. I think you should be able to
bald
do
eagles
that.
are endangered.
Oh, if they're endangered, then yeah, I'm outside.
I think a bald eagle is just a stupid ass animal. I don't give a fuck about it. But anyway,
yeah.
Let me continue on my point. So, do you think the government has a right to tax soda in order to prevent poor people from drinking it because it makes them fat and it gives them diabetes?
Let me see.
Incentive taxes are dangerous.
I think that maybe, yeah, because
don't you think that's a little demeaning?
No, so part of the
to
part
basically
of the
tax
government,
a poor to tax a poor class and out of being able to enjoy something that they want, and that they're using their money, their capital, their
you're a
labor to pay
libertarian.
for.
Hold on, I have one for this. Do you? Go
ahead.
You're a libertarian. There are some principles of the libertarians that I really enjoy for this one. So
sure.
Let me see if I can't get the libertarian.
But
thing down.
before I answer that question, whatever question you have, I want you to answer my question.
Right.
Though.
It actually relates to it.
Okay.
So,
but I'm not going to answer it until you answer my
right,
question,
no,
because I asked you first.
I'm trying to make sure I have this down correctly for libertarians. So you believe you should be able to do whatever you want, and I'm putting it in sort of a negative way, probably.
As long as it's not harming somebody else.
Harm someone else, right?
Right.
So, for instance, you don't shit in the town well.
No, that's fucked up. You shouldn't do that.
Right, and you don't sell drugs to children. Like, that's fucked, right?
No, only adults.
Right. So then, if I can demonstrate to you that soda has a negative impact on people.
Okay. Do drugs have negative impacts on people?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
Does it have a negative impact on? So you're saying that the government can, as long as something has a negative impact on everyone, the government has a right to fine it or control it in some way.
So now we're going into sex. So now the government can punish sex.
Because pornography is considered super harmful.
Hey there, Goat 9. How you doing?
Certain speech can be considered super harmful to the public.
But
basically what you're talking about is arbitrary.
Movie theater? Yelling fire in a movie theater is an example of speech.
It's not even that apparent.
Or saying that trans women aren't actually women.
That's offensive now. That causes harm.
That
causes
pretty
harm,
offensive
right?
on an individual level. Yeah. On an individual level, yeah.
But that should be banned now. That should be. If anybody says that, they should be fined because that's causing harm on somebody. But even though it's literally just words coming out of somebody's mouth, and it is basically someone's opinion. Now it's harmful. So it should be. What I'm getting at is these are all arbitrary laws.
I'm actually trying to answer this one because it's an interesting one to me, because the harm is individual and it's pretty non-specific, right? So the harm is done if I say, thank you, sir, to a trans woman because I don't recognize they're a woman. Should that be fined? Probably not. If I continue to do so after the person
if I go in front of a trans event and I stand outside of that property and I have a sign that says trans women aren't actually women, should I be fined?
I guess because they have equal speech in that case.
But first of all, I'm not on the property, and I'm exercising my freedom of speech.
Yeah, no, I think I'm on side as long as they have even layers of speech, they're equal power of speech. There's no. No, I think that's
what happens if I'm talking to a trans person? They said my pronouns are she, and I go, no, I don't believe you're a she, you're a he. Should I be fined for that?
Probably not. I think I'd err on the side.
Judging by your apprehension to answer that question, you're pretty in favor. It sounds like I may be wrong, and you can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But it sounds like you are in favor of legislating a certain viewpoint and a certain ideology.
Oh no,
you're in favor of finding, but you are though, right?
No.
Because
hold on.
Okay,
I want to put my idea here. I want to put my thoughts out here. I'm in favor of things like harm reduction and restorative justice and so on. And my reticence there is because I'm not necessarily part of the potentially affected class. So I'm trying to weigh out, if I were to call someone, Jesus, I don't know TOS on here all that well. If I were to call a gay man the gay slur, is that bad enough? And I don't know if I were to continue using it after being cited. Maybe okay.
If your answer is automatically no, then I worry about you or anyone with your same ideology ever becoming in a position of power, because then it's just
it's arbitrary
that offended someone.
It's based on the whims of the individual offended. And that's the whole. That's the whole. Hold on, but that's the sanctity of free speech. You ought to be able to say something that's on your mind, and not be attacked or fined for it. I mean, if you go up to a black guy and call him the N-word, you should probably be very well prepared to catch a fucking couple to the face.
Absolutely.
But the government does not have a right to fine you for saying that because you were exercising free speech. However, the consequences of those free speech got you a trip to the hospital. Should people be careful? Should I go into the middle of a trans event and say, you trannies are actually not women, you are all men? Probably not, because I will probably be beat to death or pulled apart limb from limb. However, I have the right to say that. I have the sacred right, written in black and white in the Constitution, to say that. And you fundamentally and morally cannot change that. The only way you can change that, and people who I'm not going to attribute you to these people. I don't know if you're actually, know if you actually. I'm just saying that people who subscribe to that, I think the only way they can get their way is through totalitarian rule or tyranny. It is.
Okay.
Because you're blatantly going against the First Amendment at that point. You're going against someone's freedom of thought and freedom of speech.
No, I agree.
You are.
I definitely.
And just like
agree.
the Second Amendment, if you limit someone's ability to own a firearm, you're going against the Second Amendment. That's written in black and white. It's written in the Constitution. It's not up for debate. That's why I think it's funny that this debate's titled a gun debate. There's not up for debate. It's written in the Constitution. I don't know what the hell we're arguing about.
A lot of the debate had to do with like what guns should be restricted, because Sino and I both agree there are some weapons that need
guns
restricted.
Can't be restricted though.
They absolutely can.
But they can't though.
They absolutely can.
They can't though. According to the Constitution, they can.
Okay.
According to the Constitution,
can any weapon be restricted?
It can literally be restricted through totalitarian and tyrannical rule. Yes, it can.
No.
Like it already is.
Should any weapon be restricted?
This is going to be a little radical. No, I don't think so.
So things like chlorine gas and explosives should not be restricted. I just want to make sure we're clear.
Is chlorine gas a firearm?
But we're talking about weapons.
Is chlorine gas a firearm?
Is it only firearms that why are we arbitrarily restricting this to firearms? Arms? It is arms.
Yeah.
It is arms. It's not firearms. It's not a gun, but it is arms. It's a weapon.
Okay, that now you're going to get into a semantic argument about what the founding fathers meant by arms.
No. Wait, did they say arms or firearms?
They said arms.
Okay, so it's a weapon. You wanted to get into this like, saying that you can't restrict any firearms because of the Constitution, right?
Yep.
So you already restricted it down to guns,
to firearms.
Well,
right. I mean, that's what every single Second Amendment argument comes down to, is guns, is it not?
Well, but should it?
So is a Predator missile, is that technically a firearm, or is that arms?
Predator missile would be arms.
Arms.
No, you make a good point. You make a good point, Mr. Nobody.
Yeah.
This is arms has been described as in the late 1500s and the early 1600s, when the term arms became widely used. It was to describe swords, spears, and armor, weapons of war.
Right.
Yes,
so weapons of war have evolved. I'm not gonna pretend that they haven't. Weapons of war have evolved to tanks. Weapons of war have evolved to artillery cannons. Weapons of war have evolved to nuclear weapons in some instances.
Yeah, and I'm fairly certain we wouldn't want an everyday casual.
So, but what I'm saying is how much does a nuclear missile cost?
Wait, so the price determines whether or not people should be allowed to have it?
That's not my question.
But that is what you just argued.
But listen, how much does a nuclear missile cost?
Again,
look it up. How much does a nuclear missile cost?
But
how much does a nuclear missile cost?
Should cost determine legality.
$200 billion.
$200 billion. Okay, so
yes.
If someone has $200 billion, and this is going to be radical, if someone has $200 billion,
he's going to say it.
All that money on a nuke.
Hold on.
Let him. They should be able to. Yep. Should
Okay,
they be paid
wait,
attention
hold on.
to? Should they be paid attention to? Absolutely.
You made an argument earlier here. So you're saying that this is the powdered wig argument, isn't it? Can you really defend yourself?
What do you mean?
You were saying that only nobles could be hunters, blah 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 blah, whatever diatribe you went on. Isn't like
that wasn't made up though? That was actual history.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine.
It shouldn't be written off as blah blah blah. That's truth. That's happened.
I do not care. I do not care.
That's fair enough. Go ahead.
What I care about is the argument that you made. So should it not be restricted on similar grounds there? Because only rich people can really afford it, and the common person couldn't possibly protect themselves from it. Shouldn't you restrict access to recreational nukes?
Do you think? Okay, so do you think it would
this is some fun territory.
Do you think that it would behoove a multi-billionaire to own a nuclear weapon and use it on the populace? Do you think it would behoove them? Do you think that one nuclear bomb will deter people from literally scaling their walls and destroying him?
Hey,
I don't think
Cincos,
so.
what do you think? We were talking about this one earlier, weren't we?
Well, so I made the point that I think about because someone made that point earlier that
No, hold on, wait. I want to make an observation. I have a very radical view on the Second Amendment. Cincos, I don't think does. Cincos believes in some protections against. He believes that some guns should be illegal or some arms should be illegal. I might be wrong.
So
I am very
this is
radical
fun.
when it comes to this.
I use predator missile because that's something in the realm of possibility that a lot of rich people could possibly afford, and it's something that they could possibly use in a secretive way to take out certain people that they don't like.
This is fun, isn't it?
And someone brought up that thing. Well, do you think the common man would be able to afford whatever weapon? And my point was, just because someone's not the common man and is extraordinarily rich doesn't make them a good person. In fact, we see a lot of people that are rich and powerful are often corrupt and do terrible things. When I think about Hillary Clinton, would I want her have the ability behind a Predator drone? Absolutely not. I think there should be limits in certain regards to that. I think it'd be ask yourself a question my point of what the Second Amendment is to defend ourselves from a tyrannical government.
Let me stop you right there, Cincos. That is the actual meaning behind the Second Amendment. There's no argument. That is literally why the Second Amendment was written.
Right.
I just want to make sure
else is second, third order.
Do you agree? Do you agree, Mr. Nobodies? That's why that.
Yeah, no.
And if you don't agree,
it's clearly laid out there, and it's also I think an unobjectionable good, like not an unqualified good. There are definitely downsides to everybody being able to own firearms, such as homicide.
What are the
rates
downsides?
Homicide rates go up when more people have access to firearms.
Okay.
It's just a downside.
Do you think that's because? Don't you think that's probably because certain people don't own firearms and are prey to firearms because they don't own the one themselves? That's why it was actually a law in England.
Like gang
to own
violence
a firearm.
happens between people who own guns.
Well, but that's gang violence. That's people, being. If you want to go attack a rival gang, that you shouldn't be in a gang, right? You shouldn't be complicit in partaking in illegal activities. And being affiliated with a gang.
That's fair.
I mean, you have the freedom to. This is the libertarian brain. You have the freedom to, but again, there's consequences for your actions, right? If you go out and I claim to be a crypt, and 3 Bloods come up and cap you in the fucking head, that's your fault. That is your fault for saying that you're a crypt.
Well, hold on, I want to make a point here.
Real quick, Cincos, I saw what you Googled. I'm saying, everyone being able to own a gun, because that's what this guy's arguing in favor of. If drunks and junkies and so on are out there owning guns, I think they'd have much less self-control, right?
Well, drunks and junkies are out there with guns, and they actually cause a lot of the gun violence.
Yeah, no, I agree. And they're less likely.
So what I'm saying is
if
more people should be armed. More people should be armed in order to defend against those people, because it's not the government's right to prevent an individual from owning a firearm or to infringe upon that person's right to own a firearm. And fines are an infringement of that. Exorbitant prices and exorbitant taxes are an infringement to that.
Wait,
an
I'm sorry,
infringement
are
is
you
a
entitled
limitation
to
on
low
someone's
prices?
ability.
Are you entitled to low
No,
prices?
but you're entitled to the government not making it more difficult for you to own a firearm. That's called an infringement.
Well, that's just called.
That's literally called. That's the definition.
That's a free market economy that the government.
If Ruger wants to charge $5,000 for an AR-15, guess who's not going to buy an AR-15 from Ruger? Me. I'm going to go to fucking Bravo Company Manufacturing or Spy Tactical or Smith & Wesson and buy one for way less. But if the government comes in and fines Ruger or fines Smith & Wesson and it basically causes them to double or triple the price of their firearms because they need to be able to pay their legal bills, then what you're doing is you're limiting my ability
You're right. We should get rid of all sorts of taxes and fines on everything. We should. Oh yeah, you're a libertarian. I forgot.
So hold on.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think taxes and fines be completely getting rid of? I would like to play around with that. I really would because
hold on.
Really
you're in favor of shitting in the
taxes.
town well, then? I'm sorry.
No, I'm not.
Yes.
No, I'm not.
We charge fines and duties.
Notice how I said I'm willing to play around with it.
Okay.
I'm willing to play around with it.
So we're just willing to play around with shitting in the town well.
No, I'm willing to play around with maybe limiting the federal government's ability to fucking tax the hell out of people, especially people who make less money than people in positions of power.
Oh no,
like
I
agree. Chris Cuomo, like fucking Nancy Pelosi.
That people,
all these people who make laws like in Congress, all these people are millionaires. They make $150,000 a year, but they're millionaires.
Yeah, unearned income tax.
And how are they the ones? How are they the ones who dictate what we can do with our everyday lives?
Guys. Okay. Well, we haven't gone off.
Guys.
We've gone off on a rabbit hole, and I mean, if I didn't have work in like 5 hours or 6 hours, I could go all night. But however, I'm going to cut it here for myself.
Oh shit, yeah. If you've got work in 6 hours,
but you know what? I'll leave first so that you guys can wrap up your conversation. It was great talking to you, Mr. Nobodies. You made a lot of good points. But you have not changed. You have not changed my mind.
If you want to come back on afterwards, I'm up for another 2 hours or so.
Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna play Cyberpunk, so I probably won't. But it was great. It was great talking to you guys. I love talking about firearms. I love talking about our God-given sacred right to defend ourselves. And you guys have a good one.
All right. See you later, buddy.
Bye.
Yep. See you, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the same thing. I think you've made some good points. However, I still, disagree with you entirely. Where in some regards, however, how he says he is a lot more radical in what he thinks people should have, and I'm not. Like I said, I don't think that people probably should be having predator drones, at their disposal. That makes me a little uncomfortable. I believe in keeping the populace armed to the level where they could take on a tyrannical government if that situation ever occurs. So where we could be able to fight against what our military could possibly be.
Yeah, no, I think we definitely agree on that. There's just a level of harm reduction that can occur that I think is relatively reasonable, like you said, with explosives and chemical weapons and so on. There's just I don't want people running around killing hundreds of people per year per whatever crazed individual wants to do. I think the main thing you moved me on today is that maybe instead of focusing on rifles, we should be focusing on handguns.
Well, and I mean, if that's what you got, then I mean, alrighty. I don't necessarily think that's a good situation. You're going from one thing to the next. I think that I still don't understand the restorative justice. I still really don't understand where the national tragedy and why that has such significance, why that number bears so much importance. Because, like I said, that number could change. The number itself absolutely means nothing then, because a national tragedy could change in a week or so. I don't agree on that part, but yeah, I believe in people being responsible with guns. I honestly think we should push for gun safety training in high school. Get people.
100%, man. We need to get people trained on how to use and restore their guns and maintain them. I think that would do.
Are sarcastic?
What's that?
Is that sarcastic or are you being real?
No. I think it would do a huge point in decreasing the amount of gun harm that would happen.
Why do you think that is?
Because it would familiarize people with guns sort of from both ends. If firearms were trained in high school, someone like me who is a sort of weak constitution would be more familiar with the workings of them, probably be more familiar with how to defend myself from, as well as if I had to deploy a weapon, how best to use it for deterrence instead of killing.
Okay, I disagree with that statement. I think, honestly, if you did that, it'd probably give more... I don't think it necessarily would make a rise in killings, but I think it would probably actually make a rise in enthusiasm in guns across the culture. But that's my take on it.
I meant to say that it would decrease the number of killings, like it because of the familiarity with them and so on.
Okay. Well, anyways, it was good talking to you. There's a whole lot more stuff. I think we could probably go on this forever. But
I see your takes down in the description here, where you're, I'm assuming, against abortion and so on. Like, there are a lot of other topics we can talk about.
Oh yeah, I'm very much against abortion. But yeah, and I'd be happy, to debate you on those as well. Absolutely, I'm open for those.
All right. Well, talk to you later, buddy.
All right, man. Have a good one.
I know it seems kind of crazy, but we've been taught to think so. Wouldn't you care more about your job if you knew you were getting paid the same as your boss? Wouldn't you be more invested in the work you would be doing? Yeah, I don't really personally value labor. I think free time is much more important than labor. And even if I were paid the same as my boss, I would actually find that unfair